Very good afternoon. How was the lunch, guys? Great, good. Can we snap ourselves quickly? To get back the energy, guys, come on. This is an important document. I'm going to make sure I leave something very important on the table, which is going to increase your project IRRs for sure. It is for my message for all the important real estate developers in the room, because for instance, morning I'm receiving tremendous amount of questions about price premium, sales velocity, construction cost, brand premiums, brand cost, and all this stuff. And I've taken a promise from all the panelists. We have to answer each one of the questions today. So, firstly, I'm very grateful to Naradko Maharashtra for giving us this opportunity for discussing this important topic of brand residency in front of all of you. 24 months back, when my organization took a decision of writing India's first white paper on branded residences, we started interviewing a lot of stakeholders, from real estate developers to brands to legal advisors to buyers who were actually paying checks for everyone, and the operators who are going to do the facility management. If I put it up branded residences, the one half of it is developing a high quality product, which is about design, construction, amenities, and second half of it, the experience for the buyer post-occupation of the project, which is very critical and important. Now, if I talk about the branded residences ecosystem, typically in the research, what we were getting initially at a superficial indication that people are buying branded residences because it is about comfort, convenience. It's about a tool to tell to the society that you are rich. But when we went to the inner layer of it, the truth is this: the reason for giving price premium on branded residences is because you are getting an opportunity to save on your mental and physical bandwidth. All the important people calculate their MVOT, money value of time. If you want to calculate your own money value of time, take your top line of last financial year, divided by 2,300, you will get value of your per working hour. In branded residence ecosystem, when you're getting the services like chef on demand, housekeeping services, you're getting the concierge services, you want to get overseas, you have a resident manager to take care of your stay across your itinerary where you are traveling. You have a pet at home, you want someone to take care of it. You need a babysitter, have a guest coming over, you want a bartender or a chef. Everything is provided within that residential complex. Now that's the offering of branded residences. The price premium get demanded because it's helping you to save your valuable time. Today's entire discussion is gonna be around the price premium, about the velocity of sale, about the absorptions of the inventory which is coming to the market. It's about the facility management and how the legal aspect of this gets structured. To start the panel discussion, my first question for you, Ampa. You took a bold call 3 years back of coming up with Chennai's first branded residency project with a hotel. A large, 500,000 square foot residential component with a hotel. Calls for significant investment, calls for patience, and even you was trying to teach the branding partner a lot of stuff, the ground reality and complexities of real estate development, because they never done this before. What it took you to reach this level, where today 60% of the project is already completed?
Thank you, Nandi. I think thank you to the audience. I think generally a post-lunch session is never full. I think the star of the evening, I think, is Yukti. I think because of her, all of you have come here to see her. So she's in the center of the audience, so that, all of you are here. So thank you very much for being here for a post-lunch session. So as Nandi said, for us it was a 3-year wait before we broke ground. 1.5 years to convince a brand like Taj to come in and start this as their new business vertical. I think that's where I was just telling the other fellow panelists that the agreements itself, it had to be structured, engineered as a user, and that took us about 3 months to 6 months just to structure the agreement with Taj, because it was a new business vertical itself. So, so your question of how this happened, right? If I can get that right. Yeah.
What was the compelling factor for you to
Yes.
take a business call of?
Yeah. So the question is, a branded residence in a location. I don't know how many of you know the location of where we are. It's not the Poise Garden of Chennai or the Boat Club of Chennai, where a project like this is normally launched. It's a location in the central business district of Chennai called Nelson Manikam Road. How many of you know Nelson Manikam Road? Raise your hands. Not even one? Not even one, right? Oh, okay. I see one hand going up, right? So it's a commercial location. It's not a residential location where the who's who of the city would like to live. But we created this product in that location where who's who are already invested into living. That's, I think, where we had the need to create something. So the location of our property where we're developing this was the first reason why we wanted something different to be there and change the entire dimension of the location of the project. I think that's where we started.
So what kind of price premium your project is right now commanding?
We started with a premium of close to 20%, and I think we are now at a premium of about 40% at this point of time. And as Nandi was saying, God has been kind. We have already crossed 60% in sales, and the price premiums are increasing. The product was priced because as I think once the panel goes, you know that there's a 30 to at least 50% increase in the cost of the product, construction cost of the product itself. As you go, will be able to give you that. So pricing that with that price at 20% premium and now at 40% premium, I think that's where we are at this point of time.
Great. So globally, there are around 9,000 plus projects of brand new residences across the globe. By end of this year, we will be touching 1,100 projects. The price premium globally is anything between 25 to 40%. I'm glad you said 40%. You're validating the global statistic that it's working in India as well. I appreciate that. Coming on to you, Yukti. We worked very closely with this magnificent project which you launched last week. My big congratulations to you. 1 million square foot project in Noida.
Thank you.
150 room, ultra luxury hotel with 6 lakh square foot of residential supply, only 74 apartments. Hats off to you, firstly for
Patience.
it means a lot to build something like this. On a conceptual side, what it takes to design a branded residences product which will be well taken up in the market.
See, these ethos that goes into designing a product starts from even before you start designing the product. You first have to lay out the goal of what it wants to achieve. For us, it was very simple that we wanted to elevate the luxury developments that existed in the neighboring areas. We had delivered one luxury project, which is also 4-bedroom. We wanted to understand what is next. How can we elevate this? Now, when you get into that conceptual journey, the first thing that you want to tell your design agencies is that it has to be practical. It has to be easy to execute. It has to be cost effective. And we don't want to experiment with the design. We want to only do something that you've already done before. Yes, that may hamper and limit the innovation to an extent, but at the same time, you also avoid the risk of a cost overrun or a supply chain mismanagement at the time of the execution. So I think practicality of design is very important, and practical not just in terms of how you want to live in it, practical in terms of how the operator might want to service it is something that is very important, at least for us it was, to get into the designing bit of it. I also want to take a minute and appreciate Mr. Rampa on what you just said, that you got into branded residences because you wanted to create something of the location where you were launching the project. I'm a very firm believer of the fact that geographies do not create luxuries. It's the products that create geographies. So hats off to you, sir. You and I are very aligned in our thought process. We had a similar challenge when we were launching Gulshan Dynasty. We were told by the entire industry that yahan pe, even our own next door adjacent project was 5,000 rupees a square feet and was struggling to sell. But like I said, I'm a very firm believer when your product has value, when it has weight, it beats all the rumors and all the market perceptions of whatever the location can do. So kudos to you, sir.
Thank you.
So Yukti, coming on the pricing side of it, Noida 4 years back was very different. From the real estate price per square foot basis, today the prices has doubled. A premium product in Noida still get traded, standalone residential building, anything between 20,000 to 25,000 rupees per square foot. Branded residences project, which are without hotels, are getting traded closer to 30,000 or a little bit plus and minus. What's your target for this unique project, which is one of its kind, with one of the most legacy brands in the history of Indian hospitality industry? What's the price target you are eyeing?
So it's something that I said at the launch of the Start Skyscapes. And it's something that we and Mr. Chitwal completely agreed on in front of the press, is that we aspire that this apartment price to even cross 100 crores per apartment. That's the aspiration. With that being said, currently when you work with the strongest hotel brand of the world, you do aim at least a 30 to 50% margin, and that's the aspiration we hope to start our sales with too.
You mean 30 to 50% price premium?
Price premium.
Price premium.
Price premium.
Great. Bajrang, firstly, congratulations for setting up India's first branded residences platform focused on leisure. There is historical data available in the country when it's about branded residences in urban centers, in main cities like Mumbai, Pune, Delhi NCR, Bangalore, and Chennai. In leisure space, in branded residences, hardly any data exists. That's the reality. And you have recently raised institutional capital. From Ask, you have managed to got Sotheby as a partner on board, equity partner. You created it beautifully well, where you have financial partner, you have a Clarks as the operations partner, and you have marketing partner, and all are invested in this platform. What assumptions convinced all of them to come up together to that asset class for which practically there is no historical data in the space of leisure?
So, around 2 years back, we incubated this entire idea of setting up this second home platform, right? And interestingly, we got Clarks as our partners, right? And the entire thought process was that in India, if you look at the entire second home ecosystem is either very opportunistic or very unorganized, right? So a developer in West is having some land parcels in and around Mumbai, have developed maybe some second home projects, and same is true for a North developer or for a South developer, right? There is not a single focused player in India who is only a second home player, right? And that's how this entire story got incubated, where 2 years back, Clarks along with myself and Sachin, we incubated that entire idea that let's create focused second home developments, right, across India, which is at the driving distance from the major cities. The unique thing about this entire platform is that it is backed by Clarks Group of Hotels, right? Because the biggest problem in second home is that generally you get great developments, but they are never managed or serviced, right? That's the biggest problem. And with our platform, because it is the DNA of the platform is hospitality, so that's our USP about this entire platform, right? And coincidentally, ASK and Sotheby's had set up this entire fund where their strategy was to invest in luxury home and second home projects. And both those ideas got incubated at a similar time. We are lucky to say so, let me put it this way, right? And this is one of the very unique platforms that we have created, wherein ASK and Sotheby's have invested equity in our business. In real estate, you seldom see equity investment, right? So as you rightly pointed out that it's a very unique composition where Clark's group of hotels brings the hospitality experience, ASK brings the funding experience, and Sotheby's gets into the marketing experience, right? And we as promoters have a lot of execution experience. So it's a perfect mix where we intend to expand this entire platform and invest pan-India projects, right? So, yeah.
Thanks, Bajrang. Anshuman, I would like to bring you in. Hi. From the brand new residency ecosystem point of view, you have multiple stakeholders. It's not an easy structure like a hotel agreement where you have an owner and a brand, and it's a bilateral agreement. Here you have a developer, buyer, brand, RERA, RWA, and brands wants to protect the sanity and the brand equity, so they don't want to take any chance that anything wrong happens during the construction period, and especially post-construction when ops are going on. They are very sensitive because that's one of the most important, valuable asset they have in their balance sheet, which is the brand equity. For a law firm like you, who's already having experiences in structuring deals like this, how complicated it gets, and what are those critical points which are very close to the chest of real estate developer that I can't let it go?
Great. So, of course, you have articulated the whole industry problem in one question, but let me see if I can cover it in a single answer. So let's understand the hospitality brand is coming from a hospitality sphere. It's not a real estate company. So the primary problem that they face is that they cannot be seen to be engaged in a real estate activity. And that's the mindset from which they are sitting on the table. So they are essentially calling themselves hospitality brand. While that is the issue with the brand, of course, the promoter is here to monetize it and use the brand value, which is really the essence of the entire agreement that is likely to happen. So far as RERA is concerned, this is an avenue which has not really been touched upon, to be very honest. But of course, there are certain judgments which have been passed in diverse state RERAs, which is hinting at the fact that any kind of a branding may result in definition of the promoter being invoked. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of hospitality brands were dragging their feet on branding real estate projects. So what first exercise when you have a real estate developer and hospitality brand coming together, the balance that we need to strike is that it's a win-win, where you are able to immune or ring fence the brand from any exposure towards promoter as in terms of RERA, as well as to ensure that whatever the objectives of getting the brand is achieved in that particular contract. Therefore, going forward, as you said, the brand value can get into a question at two counts. One is, of course, at the stage where the developer is trying to interact with the brand, but at the same time, the RWA, what we call residence association, which is likely to come later. Those contracts are also something that can create a problem for the brand. So the contracts which are drafted at the initial stage are drafted keeping in mind the final objective and to ensure that the ring fence happens to the brand. Having said that, the builder or the developer is in a center of the whole transaction where he has one side to take care of the brand, while he has the other side to ensure that the residence association and the sales and the flat purchase are also protected. And that is a balance which is the most difficult thing to be achieved. So to answer your question was, how do you ensure that the RWA is protected and the brand is not put to a task? At the same time, how do you ensure that the developer is protected and what he should be taking care of? So what he needs to take care of is the control of the project and the marketability of the project is something that continues to remain with him. While the brand will try to put a lot of conditions, he should ensure that the operations are not challenged while the project is in execution. Because there are a lot of conditions that are usually put. Of course, we have two developers here who have gone through the pains of, the requirements of a brand, and they're quite hectic. So you need to ensure that you are able to achieve that. And going forward, the brand will be, there are two ways in which the brand approaches the residents association. One, there are few brands who are ready to have a direct relationship, whereas certain brands are insisting that it should be through the developer. Usually the developer is happy to complete the project, hand over to the residents association, move on. But in certain cases where the brands have insisted that the developer needs to be around so that the brand remains ring fenced and any risk associated with the residents association is kind of held by the developer. So those arrangements are somewhere where the developers have expressed their discomfort. So it is a matter of negotiations as to how they are going to get themselves discharged and ensure that the the brand will continue to take over the operations and continue the project for times to come.
Anshuman, I think we were the ones who co-created that ring fencing in the agreement which you saw. That was the time which we had spent to, ring fence the entire brand in that thing. So,
Because as you rightly said, if they don't ring fence, the branding will not happen. Because as I said, the objective of the brand is not to be in a real estate business. So the moment you kind of bring him together as your partner, the whole objective or the foundation of the hospitality brand is lost. And thereby he is bound to withdraw. So therefore you have to ensure that while you want to brand it, you need to understand from where the brand comes and how you need to accommodate him to ensure that it's a win-win situation.
Coming from, on the financial closure side, from your experience, is branded residences is a good way to help you to in raising capital, whether it's a debt or equity, for your project completion?
see, definitely, I think there is a small margin to add in that, to saying the branded residence to raise resources. But I think that is predominantly the builder's strength, developer's strength, I think. There is a small addition on that because even if you have the world's best brand and if the developer is not strong, you're not going to get the money.
Bajrang, coming to you, this is very relevant because you have raised the capital. What kind of IRR promises have you made to your financial partners? And what kind of IRRs do you think you will able to achieve in your business case to make it a validated business concept as such? Because you are the one who's actually establishing this in the market.
So honestly, it's very, very difficult to first commit any IRRs in a second home platform, right? Because as you rightly pointed out that there are hardly any benchmarks, right, in terms of what is the right pricing, right? Which locations will work best, right? Or how one will expect the velocity on those locations, right? So there are no such thresholds that in a second home platform, if I speak about, right, there cannot be any thresholds of IRR, right? But the interesting thing is that, as I just mentioned that because we are curating projects in very exotic locations, right? So the ability of that project itself, right, to create superlative returns is very, very high. So let me give you an example, right? Our first project that we are doing that we're developing it is a place known as Kusur, and that is Mount Kusur. The name of the project is Mount Kusur. Now it is a completely unexplored location, roughly around 3 hours drive from Mumbai. We are developing a very low density curated villa development, just 32 villas in 16 acres, right? And beside these 16 acres of land, we are developing a 100-key resort, right? And as we speak, we are at a very advanced stage of discussion with the country's best operator, right, to tie up for the entire estate. So the villa development will be branded residences and will be leased back in the pool of the resort, okay, along with the resort operations that we do. So very unique model. And that's our value proposition. We believe that we want to replicate such model across India. Right? Coming back to the pricing proposition, right? Now, in such locations, there are no price benchmarks, right? The price benchmark you have to create yourself by developing unique propositions, right? So there are no thresholds. The IRR can be 25% or it can be 30 or it can be 40, right? It's all about the value proposition what we are providing for, right? So in a second home platform, IRR thresholds may be very difficult to analyze, to be very honest.
Thanks, Bajrang. Jukti, it took you around 12 to 14 months from planning till reaching a stage of finalizing the brand and finally legal contract execution with them. And now finally you have announced the project. What was your lows and highs during this journey? Because I am privy to a lot of information. So I'm taking that liberty to ask you this question. What was your lows and highs during this 14-month time frame when you designed the project, shortlisted the brand, got into commercial understanding and legal contract?
Totally taking advantage of being my advisor here, yeah, Nandi. But of course, the highs have been the announcement and the signing of it, as the industry has witnessed. That was the highest moment. The lows have been at multiple stages, I would like to say. The first low I would like to recall was when we decided that branded service departments is what we are going to build on the commercial plot. Back then in the Noida Authority, there was no such projects that were happening, and thus there was no such sanctioning that was happening. You know, there was a certain percentage that was allowed to build a residential sort of a complex on a commercial plot. So we spent about a good 4 to 6 months into convincing our authorities that this kind of development is only possible on a commercial development and not a residential development. And I think during those days when the fight with the authority along with the fight with the internal leaderships and the fight with the external agencies in the industry, it was a nostalgic moment for us because when we were trying to step into luxury in 2019, we had a similar experience when the entire industry kind of showed their back to us that you guys have lost it. You're trying to do something that does not exist and you're going to get into a lot of trouble. We didn't stop then. We did not stop once again. So I think getting through with that low point that everybody is against us, yes, yet we are fighting the good fight. It took a lot of strength from me and my managing director both. Second low, I think that you have been very well acquainted with when I called you almost in the middle of the night. I'm like, Nandi, please get this closed. I'm exhausted. These 3 clauses we are stuck on. Please just convince the team or just get it closed. Is it even going to happen? I think that was another point where I thought that maybe this deal is not going through. And obviously the stakes are as high as we've all heard, so nobody wants to have that fall apart. With that being said, both these low points taught me a very interesting lesson, which I would like to share with everybody here. After that phone call with you in the middle of the night, that was it for me. Like I had, since that very moment, since we hung up on the call, I surrendered on that whole process. I spent 3 days sitting right by the beach, not answering any call, not doing any meetings, and not even worrying about what may or may not happen. I learned the art and the power of surrendering to the universe, and as at the risk of sounding a pseudo-spiritualist here, it really worked. The second I let that stress go and I stopped panicking so much and I just let it be for a bit, we got a call. And we were about to sign in the next 2 days and all the clauses were agreed upon. And that was a very, very major high point for me. It was higher than the launch day because that taught me a lesson of life, which is beyond the successes and the balance sheets of the projects. So,
Beautiful.
yeah.
I can say Yukti has been kind to me, not naming me in her lows.
I think, Anshuman, you've taught me so much along this process. Thank you for that.
So, brand
My
resident-
pleasure.
You want to add something?
No, that's it. I want to thank her. That's our.
Okay. So, brand new resident as a concept you have an option of doing a standalone residential tower, which is aligned with a brand. It can be hospitality brand, fashion brand, automobile brand. And there is an option of doing residential tower with a hospitality component, which means you have a hotel or resort as part of the same campus. This question is for both of you. Why both of you chose a hospitality brand and a hotel in your development as a mixed-use development which you're building now, over a fashion brand, automobile brand, design brand? What's the reason?
Can I take this first? Please. Thank you. So, although the facade of tying with any branded residence brings you a lot of premium and a lot of exposure to a lot of global audience, our intention of coming up with branded residences was more than just marketing. I would also like to take a minute more here, tell you why we are building what we are building is, my mother has been after my father's life for about 2 decades. That I am so done with managing my house. Can you please just move me into a hotel? I'm okay with just one suite. Get me any hotel room. I'm okay, but I'm done with the domestic management of what requires to run a big bungalow. So that was the inspiration of where we started even thinking about a branded service department. And it matters to us which the brand is, what values that brand brings, and most importantly, what is the serviceability of the brand? What is the customer going to experience after the building is ready, after 5 years, after the sales are done, after they are started living in? What differentiation does that add? I don't think a fashion brand would get them pumpkin soup in the middle of the night. I think a hospitality brand could do that. And that is what we are trying to provide, not just for my customers, also for my mother, more importantly. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. See, the difference between the branded residence with the hotel and without the hotel, I think it's two different products. It's very, very clear that a branded residence with a hotel is a full-fledged service. You're going to get a 5-star service all your life in your apartment. Right? Okay, there are going to be charges for that, and some are going to be part of your maintenance cost. Some are going to be options, obviously. But if you choose the option of getting a fully serviced services in your apartment, and that's where a hotel makes a difference. Obviously, a automobile brand or a fashion brand is going to provide a lot of these services as a service provider through an agency or through any such kind of contract they may have, and they may ensure some services. But when a brand like a Taj is going to give you that service, just that name there is going to be enough to tell you that you're going to get that service all your life. I think there's a major difference in that. So I think, and okay, Taj for us, we definitely preferred the Indian component of the brand than the huge level of other international brands available in the country. Though our project was nearly a JW Marriott residences, and then it became a Taj residence, that's a different story. So now it's the first Taj residences in the country. Right? So that difference of that brand and the service the brand can give you inside your home is unmatched.
Thank you for that. Ampa, when you're having a brand on board, practically how much it's helping you in the sales? That's one of the important questions what real estate developers are asking me today. I want you to answer because you have reached a stage where you have sold 60% of the inventory, and I know you purposely holded it now.
That's untrue. We are still available for sale. We will sell out 100% before the project is completed. God has been kind, as I always say. But, if you say the quantum of sale given by Taj as they from their marketing team may not be much. But the satisfaction when my sales team talks to the customer, the Taj is going to give you the service is a major differentiator. So Taj need not sell for us as long as we are able to give the assurance to the customer that Taj service is available to him as long as he holds apartment. So I think that confidence that Taj gives to the customer helps us sell.
I would like to add something to this actually. I agree with you. It may not bring you the velocity of sale, but what it did for us is it brought us more serious end users or long-term investors. Now regular real estate investors were filtered out the second a brand like Taj walks in. This is what happens.
So, a common area maintenance charges is one of the very important question for a lot of real estate investors, buyers who are buying homes from you. How frequently your sales team is getting those questions that, okay, you have a great brand, I'm paying the premium, but what's going to be the cost of operations to enjoy these services? If the market is at 5 rupees per square foot, is it going to be 20% higher, 50% higher, or it's going to be double?
See, this is an entry barrier. Every customer who is used to our apartment has this question, and I know of many people who can afford to buy a hotel itself are worried about paying that maintenance cost, which they have to pay every month, right? So it's an entry barrier straight away. There is no question of saying that question being asked to my sales team. So that entry barrier can only be broken if they understand why it's best to live in a branded residence. Right? So that concept of the branded residence and the service and all of that available at a call of a press of a button on the phone or whatever you have. So, that's something which is definitely a major question which has to be answered. And honestly speaking, we really don't have a preset example like what you said as to what this is going to cost. So we have examples of what a service provider will charge for a luxury residences wherever it is. But for a branded residence, how much of it is so what we have done as a pioneer in this business, what we have said is our price includes the first 3 years maintenance full entirely is part of the price. So we don't want you to be bothered about the price at all. And then for the next 12 years, we are saying we will give them a 5 rupee discount on whatever maintenance cost comes. Right? So we have built all that into the price itself. Right? We have done whatever the financial management of that and built that into the price. So they get a discount of 5 rupees on the maintenance cost for the next 12 years. So the first 15 years, they get a concessional maintenance cost. Second part of it is, see, a lot of the services are going to be shared with the hotel. You have only one engineering team which is going to run the residence and the hotel. You have a central air conditioning system. You have a running hot and cold water. You have your high tension power. All of that managed by the hotel. So from our analysis, we feel that there will be quite a bit of savings in the factor of redundancy factor. There will be quite a bit of savings in the operational cost of the lean time of the hotel, lean time of the residences, all of that. So there will be a savings in the operations because it's managed by one. It's only one system which is going to operate. There may be 2 or 3 separate service lines going out of it, but it all goes out of one plant which is centrally managed. So there will be a lot of savings. Honestly speaking, we don't know the saving at this point of time. Today in Chennai, 7 to 10 rupees is the average maintenance cost of a luxury residence. We estimate that it can go between 15 to 20, but we are hoping that we'll be able to assess that in the first 3 years, and once the operation stabilizes, we'll be able to give a clear-cut maintenance cost to the residences, and that's the comfort we have provided to them.
Great.
I would also like to add on this. This question was posed to us at the press conference, and Mr. Chatwal took the mic and did not let us answer that. He's like, I will answer this question for the group. He says, you are going to live in the tallest Taj of the world. You are going to be serviced by the world's strongest brand. Are you really going to be talking about the common area maintenance?
But they still do.
They
As
still
I said,
do, and-
as I said, a person who can buy the hotel itself, he has so much money to buy the hotel, he will still ask for that question.
I agree they do. And we were advised earlier, building a hotel into the building was not our intention or an original plan. But we were advised by a very intelligent man that if you were to bring a hotel into this property, it will optimize the operations of the operator, and they will be able to serve, like manage the manpower throughout your entire complex. If you have the hotel, they'll be able to make up a lot of revenue from there also, which is why we inbuilt the hotel to be able to optimize the savings, so that we are yet to see which they are.
So in the case of hotels, historical data says that efficiencies can be as high as 30 to 40% when there are common resources. So you probably have the same engineering team, same housekeeping team, chefs are available, electricians, maintenance, everything is available. So 30 to 40% efficiency can be brought in with this. But thanks for answering that. Anshuman, this is something very relevant related to this topic, this question which I just asked both of them. Once project is completed, developer slowly moves out and hands over common areas to RWA. Operator already have protected his interest of the operations agreement of the building by having the understanding with developer. He made buyer sign the agreement, which eventually novated to RWA. To have a frictionless framework, what are the critical points which, as a buyer and as a developer and as a brand, you need to be very sure about to make sure there's no friction at all during the time of operations?
So, as you rightly stated, friction is the real concern when we are initiating the contracts, and that is something, no bad experiences for anyone has to be considered. The first issue or the first aspect that we emphasize upon is transparency. When the premises are being sold, both the parties have to be extremely clear. Any which ways RERA mandates that there is complete disclosure of information when it comes to sale of asset. So it is something that you particularly need to be careful about, including the aspect of maintenance, because as you rightly stated, after the project is complete, the residents association is going to become the owner of the property. Under RERA, it mandates that the title has to be transferred. Under Transfer of Property Act, Section 11 is very clear that once the sale happens, becomes unconditional and there cannot be any conditions on the user. So RERA, read together with Transfer of Property Act, they poses certain fundamental concerns as to power that the Residents Association is going to. Today it is very difficult to estimate what is the outflow that is going to be charged to the purchaser after he starts occupying. Having said that, the conditions under which the maintenance will happen has to be transparent. Therefore, we at the beginning of launch of the project, we provide for maintenance agreements, and we ensure that those are made known to the buyers, and all the terms and conditions that are attached with this particular contract. Also, interestingly, as you stated, there, the projects can be of two kinds, rather three kinds. One is a standalone branded apartment. One would be a combination of hotel together with branded apartments. And there could be a mixed development, which are very rare but not much to be seen, but a possibility. So each will have its own nuances, because while the combination of hotel and residences are there, it is quite likely that the hotel will be operated for a longer period of time. And in that kind of a scenario, the operator would, or the brand would want to continue with the apartments as well, so that the homogeneity of the project is achieved, because there couldn't be a situation where the hotel is maintained in a different manner and the apartments are happening in a different maintenance format. So those are the second areas of concern, because as much as the brand may be ready to give up, the maintenance at some point. But because of the fact that the hotel is still operating in the other portion of the same property, he would want to secure himself in the entire project and not just for the hotel. So therefore, transparency, I think, is the main important, and taking good effort of drafting contracts in the most suitable manner so that there is no allegation of misrepresentation at a later point of time.
If I can add to that, Nandi. See, what we have done is, see, the hotel ownership is separated from the residential ownership. And what we have also done is the entire club of 75,000 square feet, which the residents are going to use, is not owned by the residents. So if at any point of time the RWA is going to have an issue, they'll get the bare shell. So the entire 75,000 square feet is owned by the hotel, and the hotel is owned by the developer. So we have ring fenced it in that manner. So we will, because of the, see, RERA may not understand the nuances of all of this, but as a user, this is what we have done. You know, we have kind of ring fenced the whole thing by no amenity is there with the residents. All amenities are there with the hotel, but exclusive to the residents. On a user-based, license-based club membership, whatever you call that, right? So that's what we did.
So in the last leg of our discussion, one advice you want to give to real estate developers sitting in this room who are considering branded residences for their next project.
Okay. It's very attractive to, for a developer to look at a residence and saying that there's a premium and all of that. But I think your location of your project must demand a residence, is what I think. And you need to have a hotel in that if you want to be a true residence of a brand. So once you say you have a hotel, there is a holding cost of the hotel. Hotels is expensive. You'll be spending 1.5 crores per room, whatever, to 1.75 crores per room you'll be spending for that to retain that kind of a brand. And the holding cost of that is there. So you should look at a branded residence to increase your selling velocity. Or I differ on that part. The selling velocity is not, we are now 2.5 years into our project and we have sold 60%. That's about, say, 25% of the project per year is what we have sold. I don't know if that's a very good selling velocity down south from Chennai. And I don't know how it's here in Mumbai, but the brand helps you in the pricing of that brand. So that's definitely a value addition. There is an extra spend you will be doing for the having a branded residence apartment. So as we have spoken earlier, 20% to 40% is the available margin depending on your location. But you have to choose it very carefully is what I feel, yeah.
Oh, very well said. So in the interest of the audience, to have hotel is preferred in your residential development. But because of commercial complexities, if you can't do it, then make sure the same brand has a hotel within 5 to 7 kilometer radius, so the serviceability possibility is there. Jyoti, your turn.
My advice to developers would be, one, don't do it for the sake of it. Understand the goal that you want to achieve with launching a branded residence. And do your due diligence into finding the right brand that's the right fit for your company, for your brand. But once you do that, then you just trust the brand and trust the process. It will vary from brand to brand and experience to experience and city to city, I believe. But at the same time, the value it brings to your product and the perceptional value it brings to even your brand is impeccable. So I would advise everybody who is in the business of luxury real estate. This is the next wave, and it's imperative to get on it before it's too late.
Just to add to Yukti's point, globally, out of 900 plus projects, 70% of the projects are in luxury space. And 30% of the projects are in upper upscale or upscale segment. And that upper upscale to upscale segment is growing very fast. Pajang?
So I have a very different perspective about this, right? So as some of the panelists rightly pointed out that the objective needs to be very clear, right? If the objective is just for the marketing purpose, then there are multiple brands wherein the branded residences can happen, right? But in a true sense, the branded residences actually works well only with the hospitality player. Because that's the service element, the lifestyle element, the hospitality element can only come from a hotel operator, right? And globally, as you rightly pointed out, that this concept is so popular in the Western world, right? The concept of condotel, I think, is there for more than a decade in US and Europe, wherein the unit, the entire residential project or the hotel is sold to the unit holders, right? And effectively, they get the right to use that particular asset for a particular period, and in the balance period, there's an yield income which gets generated, right? So in itself, it's a very big asset class globally, and in India, as we see, this is going to evolve more and more, right? Effectively, now there are two different segments altogether also. One is the urban segment where Yukti and Sir are doing projects, right? And one is the second home or the leisure segment. If I look at the leisure home segment, which is effectively going to be very big in the country as the affluent class and the higher income segment population is growing exponentially in India, right? There I believe there's a fantastic opportunity of a hospitality-led real estate development, what effectively we are doing, right? But yes, my experience or my limited experience is that there is a lot of merit to do branded residences as long as the objective is very clear that whether it's a pure marketing play, then one can go that route. And one is, if he's really looking for a long-term value creation, then hospitality plays a very important role. So, yeah.
Thanks, Bajrang. Anshuman?
I would say first we need to understand the ethos. You need to really know the brand, the industry, so that closing of contracts become easy. You really need to know their mindset. You need to study the industry to see to it that you can understand their mindset. I say the real disconnect is in the ideologies, where the developer says it's my project. You see a lot of dominance coming from the brands, and but you need to appreciate and understand. So for which you need to really have done your homework, so that it doesn't become painful while sitting across each other and trying to close the contract. And second thing I would say is start well in time. They take good amount of time, I would say. So it should not be that you're at the threshold of launch and you're looking out for a brand. But if you would have targeted to make it branded, then you just ensure that you have started well in time. That's I would say.
If I can just add, see, what we have also done now, as we have come to the fag end of our sales, we are now creating a new product of all the unsold units as fully furnished, fully serviced apartments, right? For investors who can just buy and rent it out. So we're calling them, furnished suites. It's like living in a suite in a hotel, right? So it's furnished suites. So, and those will be fully serviced inside the apartment also. So that's the kind of thing we're creating that now, just now as a product. So I would just, request Nandi, if anybody would like to, see what we are doing, please be in touch with Nandi, and he can connect you. We can do a video conferencing and show what we are doing. For anybody interested, you can always, be in touch. I think we should be the one closest to completion very soon. So I think I will.
Chennai or outside Chennai?
This one in Chennai only.
In Chennai.
In Chennai. Yeah.
And so basically it's a financial product.
It's a financial product. Yeah.
Yes.
It's an investment product. Because see, as Yukti was saying, this is otherwise it's a product which you would definitely love to live yourself. So that's the product originally designed for. So at least 30% of people who have bought as investors have converted themselves as own use. So they are putting up their other units for rental and they want to move in here. That's the kind of thing they're already working on. So this as a product is a product definitely you would like to live in that luxury all your life. I think that's the product you have.
If time permits, can we take a couple of questions from the audience? Any questions from the audience? More than happy to take. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm a developer from Mumbai, and I want to ask you that normally developers of residential projects build, sell, and exit. But if you want to ensure that it remains a branded residence, do you have to hold on to certain units, or how do you structure it? And it also is for you, sir, that how do you structure the contracts in such a way that the residents retain the brand after handover, after a few years?
You want it? Okay.
I can answer if you want to.
Up to you. You go
Okay.
ahead then. You go.
See, as I was saying, the hotel is the fulcrum of the project. The brand managing the hotel is a service provider for the hotel, service provider for the residences. But the hotel is owned by you or a company or some whatever format you have to have. So literally, if you want the hold on the residences to hold the brand, the hotel, whoever owns the hotel will be controlling that part of it, right? So if you don't have a hotel, then it's a different story. If you have a hotel, whoever, assume you have already built a hotel, you built residences, and you sell the hotel to somebody in exit, the hotel owner is going to manage the residences. Right. So that's the connection which will be there as long as the brand needs to be held. The earlier thing what I said was that if you want to delineate that, all the services are with the hotel. Right. So you can always cut that out.
Just to add what Mr. Ampa just said, that if you're doing a only residential product, you're not adding hotel because of commercial reasons, or that's your vision. I think that your question was more pointed towards that. So answering directly to that, you don't need to hold even a single square foot in that project. It is just like the way you could have done a standalone residential building. Only thing, the product need to have a soul of that brand. The amenities has to be there as per the brand standards. And once you have sold the entire inventory and you completed the project, you need to hand over common areas to RWA. So the operations can now begin efficiently, properly, in a way which brand has promised to the buyers.
I'll just add further to that. So there are two kinds of operators that we've seen so far, brands. One who are ready to directly interact and have a direct relationship with the Home Buyers Association. Whereas there are certain brands who insist that it should be only through the developer and they don't want any privity of contract with the Home Buyers Association. So it depends on what kind of a negotiations that you'll have done with the brand. But these are the two broad principles under which you find brands in the market today.
Yes, sir. You wanted to ask.
Yeah, I had a question. So what we are selling is a residential unit, right? But we are selling it as a hospitality wing in terms of branding. So what would be the tax implications by the buyer in near future in terms of governance and all? We don't know what the government would charge a hospitality wing and a residential wing. How would we segregate between the two? Considering both are right now merged into one entity.
I understood what you're asking. So from the approvals perspective, this remains a residential building only. So ABC Hotel has now residential format called ABC Residences. In case of Ampa, they have a separate Taj Hotel and Taj Sky Residences. So from approval perspective, compliance perspective, it is a residential building. It has to be regulated and operated as a residential building. Anshuman, you want
It largely changes for us.
You have a unique case.
We have a unique case. We are building this on a commercial plot. So everything is like a commercial building. And in Noida, you are not allowed to create a branded service departments on a residential property, which is what the whole fight was about. So all the tax implications, all the all the bills, all the electricity usage also is like any other commercial building.
So I'll just further add, so across the country, you'll see different kind of land parcels which are being allotted either by government or there will be a freehold land. In several areas, you'll see that there's a concept of apartments which are permitted along with serviced apartment, what they call as a sanction, which is permitted under a commercial sanction. So those are called serviced apartments, and privately held are called residences. Both serve the same purpose, but depending on the nature of FAR that is sanctioned to you, whether commercial or residential, the categorization will have to be done.
So that's all. I think so. That was my question. Like in near future, what would be the maintenance on GST?
If I can
I think
just
so.
add to that, see, ours is a mixed use development. We have residences, you have offices, you have a hotel, all in 1.1 million square feet in one unit, right? So the corporation tax is going to be separate for the residence as a residence unit, not as a, even though it's serviced, it's still a residence. Office will be treated as an office. That's how in Chennai it happens. Hotel will be treated as one unit, as a hotel unit. So individually, each will be assessed in whichever manner of use it's going to be. So I think it's very important that if that unit is going to be run as a day use or a rental unit, then the taxation will be different. But if, as a user, if you're going to use it as a residence, residential tax only will be charged. Right.
As you say, you guys, okay. So because of the time constraint, we have to now wind this up session. Thanks a lot for being a wonderful audience, and thanks a lot Ampa, Yukti, Bajrang, and Anshuman for giving your time and great insight. Really appreciate. And thanks Naradko Maharashtra for giving us this opportunity. Thanks a lot.